Call it to order, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, then we'll dive right into the approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting February 13th. Everybody's had a chance to read through them. Is there any corrections that we'd like to make? Suggestions? If not, I will entertain a motion to approve them.
I move to approve the minutes.
Do I hear a second?
I will second.
Been properly moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the regular board meeting February 13th. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. And we'll move on to our approval of the general fund vouchers, 74,357 through 74,403, and wire transfers 16170,288 through 16170,304. I will entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve.
I will second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the general fund vouchers as listed. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. And we'll move on to our public comment section of the meeting. There was nobody on the list. Danny, did you sign up to say anything?
Oh, she's with the FFA.
Yeah.
Okay. So then we'll move on to our spotlight in education, which then I'll give you the floor.
All right. Tonight we have.
Was Mr. French who supposed to make a motion for that or no?
Call to order.
We have a wonderful demonstration of our Parley Pro team. They have advanced to sectionals, which will be March 15th. Mr. Tunwees has been their coach this year, and so we are really proud of them. And let's see here. Nicole is acting as secretary, and then they will, I don't know how many you're going to go through, items of business to demonstrate this evening.
We're going to go through 5 unless you stop us.
Okay.
What? You going to say something?
I just wanted to throw out that I was once a student of Mr. Weiss's in parliamentary procedure, so he'll use it.
We're here for a couple of reasons. One is they advanced from the district competition to the sectional, and they're getting ready for that, and they need the opportunity to speak in front of people that make them nervous, and you do that. And the other thing, I guess, I'm here as an FFA alumni member, and the FFA alumni is a support group for the FFA to help the members get to do things that they might not have time to do if we relied on everything being done by the advisor. So I like parliamentary procedure and have been working. We've actually been working together as a group for 6 months, maybe, not as diligently as we probably should, but it's been fun. And the competition is in Amory next month, in March 15th, and then only one team will go on. There'll be 6 teams there. There's 2 from each district. There's 3 districts in our section, and so one team out of 6 will go on to the state. Amory has been that team for quite a long time. They actually just came back at the national convention, which would have been in October. Came back and they have finally now surpassed us. We think they did. We were the only Wisconsin team until Amory this year to make it into the finals of the National Parliamentary Procedure Contest. They didn't tell us they didn't give the ranking except for the first place team, so I guess we could assume we were second, but it was more likely we were fourth. But Amory came in third at this time, so so it gives us a lot of competition and a goal to shoot at. So anyway, for those reasons, we wanted to demonstrate parliamentary procedure. It's a speaking contest, so it's time, which is why they want to talk really fast, not only because they're nervous, but because it's time. And so I'm encouraging them to not speak as fast as they can speak so you can understand what they're saying. So, and afterwards, and the way the contest is done is not like meeting exactly, in that the judge will call the team members up one at a time, and they don't know what order. They will have a piece of paper that tells them what the item of business is going to be, but they don't know until they get up to the podium what they have to demonstrate. So each one acting as a chair has to handle an item of business and do something with it, which until the moment the secretary reads it, he won't know what it is that he's demonstrating. And they don't know the order they're going up. So it's a lot of unknowns, anxiety a little bit, and they often always be prepared for all of them. And I think that other than parliamentary procedure, which I think is important for running meetings, it's one of the best speaking contests because they've got to learn to speak extemporaneous. They've got to be ready to make a debate about something they're not quite ready for, because the first time they'll see these items is when they're up on stage. So they do know the order they're going in. So and Josh is starting us off.
Do you guys know all of them, or should I?
Oh,
Yeah.
let's introduce yourself.
My name is Josh Logan.
What grade are you in, Josh?
11.
Thank you.
Hang on, and stand and going down the road.
I'm Calvin Rosine, I'm a junior.
Brett Steffen, I'm a junior.
Corey Katz, I'm sophomore. I'm TK Hughes, and I'm a sophomore.
I'm Nicole Katz, and I'm a freshman.
The secretary for this contest doesn't do debates, doesn't take a chair spot, so you won't see Nikki this year.
Meeting at Clear Lake Parliamentary team will now come to order. Madam Secretary, what is the first item of business and its ability to be demonstrated?
The first item of business is for the chapter to conduct a raffle as a money-making project, and the ability to be demonstrated is to receive and dispose of a main motion and an amendment.
Members, you have heard the first item of business and its ability to be demonstrated. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Chair recognizes Mr. Katz.
I move for the chapter to conduct a raffle for the money-making project. Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded for the chapter to conduct a raffle as a money-making project. Is there any debate on the main motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Chair recognizes Mr. Katz.
I'm strongly in favor of this motion for many reasons. One of them is with our fruit sales did not go very well, so we need more money to buy chapter t-shirts, and because we have not done a raffle in a while, so it'll be a good new fundraiser to get out there for these reasons. I could vote yes.
Mr. Chairman. Recognizes Mr. Steffen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm opposed to this motion for many reasons, one being that the Clayton FFA chapter just did a raffle as a money-making project, so people are not going to want to donate to two raffles so close to each other. So for these reasons, I encourage you to vote no.
Mr. Chairman,
Chair recognizes Mr. Rosen.
I move to amend the motion by adding the words next Friday to the end of the motion, so if passed, would read the chapter 2 conduct a raffle as a money-making project next Friday.
Second. An amendment occurs a second if debatable is debatable. Occurs second if amendable is debatable and occurs majority vote. The main motion also requires a second if amendable is debatable and requires majority vote. Is there any debate on the amendment?
Mr. Chairman.
Chair recognizes Mr. Rosen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm in favor of this motion for many reasons. One being that on Friday, that is when our basketball game is, so a lot of people will attend. And also next Friday, lots of people are free, so they will actually be at the game. For these reasons, vote yes.
Chair recognizes Mr.
I'm strongly opposed to this amendment because we also have a prom fundraiser that night, so our money would be split for the donators, and also people just want to watch the basketball game and not be bothered by these raffles. For these reasons, I'm strongly opposed to this motion.
Is there any further debate? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor of the amendment so would read the chapter to conduct a raffle as a money-making project next Friday, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying no. No. Motion passes. The motion now reads for the chapter to conduct a raffle as a money-making project next Friday. Is there any further debate on the main motion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor of the main motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying no. Motion passes. The chapter will now conduct a raffle as a money-making project next Friday.
So then he would leave the podium and the judge would be followed by the second person. Kincaid is the one being selected. One thing about the contest, they have to, we call them salient points, and they have to tell the judges have to tell whatever it is that they demonstrate, they have to tell them whether it requires a second or not, whether it's amendable or not, debatable or not, and the table vote required. So that's why Josh told you what a main motion and amendment required for passage. Kincaid will tell on what he has to show.
Madam Secretary, what's the next item of business and its ability to be demonstrated?
The next item of business is for the chapter to sponsor a donkey basketball game, and the ability to be demonstrated is to lay on the table.
Members, you have heard the next item of business and its ability to be demonstrated. What's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman.
Chair recognizes Mr. Rosine.
I move for the chapter to sponsor a donkey basketball game.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded for the chapter to sponsor a donkey basketball game. Is there any debate?
Mr. Chairman.
Chair recognizes Mr. Rosine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm in favor of this motion for many reasons. One being that lots of kids are around and kids like farm animals, so there will be a lot of children attending. And also this would be a great money-making project for our chapter. For these reasons, vote in favor of this motion.
Chair recognizes Mr. Katz.
I'm strongly opposed to this motion for many reasons. One of them is which we're hosting the regional game this Friday, so we do not want to scuff up the floor and make it bad for our players. And because last time we had a donkey basketball game, our advisor got kicked in the face and got severely injured. For these reasons, I could vote no to this motion.
Mr. Chair recognizes Mr. Stephen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move to lay on the table the chapter to sponsor a donkey basketball game.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to lay on the table. To lay on the table requires a second, is not amendable, is not debatable, and requires a majority vote. Since it is not amendable nor debatable, we will not proceed to vote. All those in favor of the chapter to lay on the table the motion for the chapter to sponsor a donkey basketball game signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed signify by saying no. Motion passes. We will lay on the table the motion for the chapter to sponsor a donkey basketball game.
So they're midway through it, there's just a second of 5. One thing, they could be a little louder, do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit.
So work on that, and maybe a little more distinct in some of the words, so work on that. And this is why we're here. Do you have a question about what they've done so far, or anything about their act? Yes.
So are they judged then on loudness,
Yes.
speaking?
It's a speaking contest, so
Okay.
voice, inflection, and everything is taken into account.
Mr.
So
Rita, they only judged as a team or individually as well?
they're both. They're
It
being
is.
judged. Each of the debates is worth 5 points. I think there's an introduction, and then you get a 2-point on your developing the topic that you're discussing, and then a conclusion to your debate. So that's 4 points then. So they're being judged individually. They're being judged as a chair. Knowledge of parliamentary procedure is a part of it. If they get something wrong, they can correct themselves, or have a team member can correct another one by raising a point of order, and you get most of your points back by fixing the mistake that you made. So, any other questions? All right, I think Corey goes up next. So a little louder, a little more distinct.
Madam Secretary, was the next item of business and ability to be demonstrated?
The next item of business is for the chapter to sponsor a St. Patrick's Day dance on March 17th, and the ability to be demonstrated is to raise a question of privilege.
Members, you for the next item of business and ability to be demonstrated. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chair.
Recognized Mr. Hughes.
I move for the chapter to sponsor a St. Patrick's Day dance on March 17th.
Second. It's been properly moved and seconded for the chapter to sponsor a St. Patrick's Day dance on March 17th. Is there any debate on the motion?
Mr. Chair.
Recognized Mr. Hughes.
I'm strongly in favor of this motion because St. Patty's Day is a great day, and we haven't had a dance in a while. And also, the dance could raise some good PR for our chapter. For these reasons, I'm strongly in favor of this motion.
Mr. Chairman. Recognized Mr. Stephen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm opposed to this motion for many reasons. One being that it would cost too much money to sponsor this dance because he just bought chapter t-shirts for everybody. So for these reasons, I encourage you to vote no.
This is a question of privilege.
State your privilege.
Could we turn up the temperature?
I actually feel it's quite warm in here right now, so we will not turn it up. To raise a question of privilege does not require seconds, non-amendable, is not debatable, and is decided by the chair. Is there any further debate on the motion for the chapter sponsor St. Patrick's Day dance on March 17th? Seeing none, we will now proceed to vote. All in favor for the chapter sponsor St. Patrick's Day dance on March 17th, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, signify by saying no. Motion passes. The chapter will sponsor St. Patrick's Day dance on March 17th.
So a question of privilege is made to be made as a privilege motion. It's done while some other business is being handled, and so that's why it's done as it's done, and again, it can be sort of a personal favor that the person thinks the whole group would benefit from. Maybe there's a, the door needs to be shut because there's a dog barking in the hallway or something like that. Those kinds of things would be a question of privilege. Brett?
Madam Secretary, what is the next item of business and its ability to be demonstrated?
The next item of business is for the chapter to purchase a drone for the Agricultural Education Department, and the ability to be demonstrated is to raise a parliamentary inquiry.
Members, you have heard the next item of business and its ability to be demonstrated. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Recognizes Mr. Rosine.
I move for the chapter to purchase a drone for the Agricultural Education Department.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded for the chapter to purchase a drone for the Agricultural Education Department. Main motion, required second, is not amendable, is not debatable, and requires no vote.
I rise to parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
What are the correct selling points for a main motion?
Parliamentary inquiry does not require a second, it's not amendable, it's not debatable, and requires no vote. The correct salient points for a main motion are does require a second, is amendable, is debatable, and requires a majority vote.
Thank you.
Before the interruption, we were discussing the main motion for the chapter to purchase a drone for the Agricultural Education Department. Is there any debate?
Mr. Chairman.
Recognizes Mr. Rosine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am in favor of this motion for many reasons. One being that a drone can teach us lots of things about new technology and teach us lots of ways that we can learn about agriculture. And we also have a lot of funds in our account right now, so we will be able to afford this. For these reasons, I'm in favor of this motion.
Mr. Chairman.
Chair recognizes Mr. Hughes.
I'm strongly opposed to this motion because drones have been known to be very faulty, and they have broken a lot in the past years, and also our kids would mess with them and not put them to good use. For these reasons, I'm strongly opposed to this motion.
Is there any further debate? Seeing none, we shall proceed to vote. All those in favor for the chapter to purchase a drone for the Agricultural Education Department signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying no. Motion passes. Chapter will purchase a drone for the Agricultural Education Department.
For part of the demonstration, all of the motions have to pass. There should be probably a dissenting vote, but for example, to lay on the table, if you failed it, then you wouldn't be able to demonstrate that you actually can lay something on the table. And so, in this case, the motion would be you raise a parliamentary inquiry at a meeting, probably if you wanted to know if it was appropriate to table something at this time, or whether this, if you wanted to know something about the parliamentary procedure, practicality of a motion. So the last one is going to be
Mr. Weiss?
Yes.
Could I just give you, and I don't know if this is part of the judging contest or anything, but just body language, as you guys are all. This is how you're doing your thing. If you're running a meeting, I would think it might go a long way towards the judges if you're up and attentive to your chairman. I don't know if that.
Well, it certainly does. And everything that you can think of is a part of the contest. So I mean, it's because they want the people to demonstrate to look like they're having fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
And quite frankly, we haven't had a practice in a while.
Yeah.
Since and so they're nervous on a couple levels. One is, parents are watching. And,
Yeah.
Do they tell you at the end of your presentation whether they critique you and tell you what you need to work on, or
they do at the end of the in this case, for the district contest, there were 3 teams: Amory, Craig Farm, and Clear Lake. Now there's like how many schools in our district? 9 or something maybe.
In our district?
Yeah. Well, we've got districts and then sectionals.
7 to 9.
So there could be that many different parliamentary teams, but it is really a lot of commitment to get a team to stay together for the length of time that it takes to do this. And so many chapters can't, don't keep it together, especially when they know they have to end up meeting Amory in the end, and that's a big obstacles, so you really got to be ready for it. So, you know, the comment you're making is well said, and it's something that the judges would have said to them probably, but it's good to hear it from you, and I welcome that. So, and I think, you know, they do too.
As a little piece of history, back in my day, our biggest competition in Amory was Clear Lake, and so it's still funny to see that two of the strongest Parley Pro teams from here all the way up to Ashland is still us in Amory. So it's kind of crazy that in, I don't know, decades.
Yeah.
Madam Secretary.
So work on that. Let's this time work on the body line. Y'all could still be a little bit louder. And I think Nikki is the best. Got the. Yeah, she's getting the thumbs up. That's the voice level you want.
Gentlemen.
Madam Secretary, what is the last item of business and the ability to be demonstrated?
The last item of business is earlier in the meeting, a motion to sponsor a donkey basketball game was tabled, and the ability to be demonstrated is to take from the table.
Members, you've heard the last item of business and the ability to be demonstrated. What is your pleasure? Chair recognizes Mr. Hughes.
I move to take from the table the motion to sponsor a donkey basketball game.
Second. It has been properly moved and seconded to take from the table the motion to sponsor. To take from the table requires a second, is not amendable, is not debatable, and requires a majority vote. Seeing it is not amendable nor debatable, we will proceed to vote. All in favor of taking from the table the motion to sponsor the donkey basketball game, signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying no. Motion passes. We will take from the table the motion to sponsor a donkey basketball game. Main motion now reads for the chapter to sponsor a donkey basketball game. Is there any further debate on this motion? Chair recognizes Mr. Hughes.
I'm strongly in favor of this motion because donkeys are very exciting, and also our gym floor has gotten very old, so it would be fine for it to get scuffed up. For these reasons, I'm strongly in favor of this motion.
Chair recognizes Mr. Katz.
I'm strongly opposed to this motion for many reasons. One of them is which we can never get enough teachers or anybody from the community to play during it, and because last time we had it, our advisor did get kicked in the face, so it will not be a good idea to do it again.
Is there any further debate? Seeing none, we will proceed to vote. All in favor of the motion for the chapter to sponsor a donkey basketball game, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying no. Motion passes. The chapter will sponsor a donkey basketball game. Mr. Chairman. Chair recognizes Mr. Katz.
I move to adjourn.
Second. It's been properly moved to adjourn. To adjourn requires a second. It's not amendable, it's not debatable, and requires a majority vote. Seeing it is not amendable nor debatable, we will proceed to vote. All in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying no. Motion passes. Are there any announcements? Meeting adjourned.
So then, following the demonstration, and they have to adjourn the meeting. Nikki's taking notes. She has to turn her minutes into the contest, and they are also judged. Then the next thing is also an individual part. And there's 7 questions that they're asked by the judges, and this for the first time that they. And in each case, it starts out something like this: what would you, if you were the presiding officer, and a member rises and moves to take from the table a motion while another member is speaking, which in other words, you're asking, can you interrupt a speaker to move that motion? And so I would, the judge would call on the person, and it wouldn't be necessarily the seated order. So once again, you're on edge for this part of it. So Cal, what would you do if a member rises and moves to take from the table a motion while another member?
This member's actions will be out of order because he cannot interrupt the speaker.
Mr. Stephens. A main motion is pending, and a member rises and moves now to adjourn at 8 p.m.
Qualified motion to adjourn is not registered, therefore out of order.
Mr. Getz. Vote on the motion to lay on the table is 15 in favor and 15 opposed.
The motion would fail because to lay on the table requires a majority vote, and 15, that would not pass because it is not majority unless the chair voted affirmative, then it would pass.
A member rises to appeal your decision because that member did not agree with your announcement on the result of the vote.
This member is actually out of order because they
alternate admission of the House. Mr. Lepper. What would you do if the presiding officer and a member who seconded a motion rises to debate against that motion?
The member's actions will be in order, only they'll make the motion, cannot debate against the motion.
So that's, and then there's 7 of those kind of questions. These are questions that I have had once before, because I've kept a bank of them for 4 years. And that's our contest. So, any parting questions? Yeah.
So the tempo of the speech tonight, is that about what the tempo is at the contest, or do they need to be quicker than that?
No, I don't think I would like. I'd like them to manage the inflection in the voice and not go any faster than they are, and also raise the volume a little bit so that it's more easier to hear. There's some of the words are slurred together tonight. We want to work on that.
Is it timed?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the reason they're in that mindset.
Okay.
Is that beyond 8 minutes and 30 seconds, it starts to count against them, and so not knowing what's ahead, because if something if the motion is not amendable or debatable, it's really quick and you can get through it very fast. But if it is debatable, it must be debated in order to get those points, the speaking points for the debate. So. Not knowing whether you've got any time to spare is another challenge.
So it's the fine line between going too fast and being clear and concise.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
How many of you guys competed last year and are returning?
All.
Okay.
The question you want to ask is how many of you are coming back next year to do it again? We have another problem, and the problem with parliamentary procedure people is that they're in everything, at least in a school this size. So to try to schedule a practice between wrestling practices and basketball practices, and I don't know, and then it turns out that at least 2 of these kids are going to Costa Rica during the state FFA convention. So if they advance to state, they wouldn't be there to go anyway. So we have
Who would choose Costa Rica?
I think they've got a deposit down on it. I'm not sure. Thanks for letting us come in and.
Well, thanks for coming in.
Nice job, guys.
Yeah, very well done.
Very cool, Nicole. Keep up the good work. Well, we'll dive back into our business then. Thanks for coming, you guys. The next item of business is the approval of the EMC insurance renewal. Joshua, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. So same as last year, we just did this actually, I guess legally has to be approved. There's not any changes. Even if we went with a different company, it would be the exact same prices. We did all of the numbers, if you notice, are relatively the same with the exception of the premium. The premium has gone up due to a claim, so it'll be a $20,000 increase for every year for 3 years. So it'll be a total of $60,000 increase for the district for the premium, and then hopefully it'll go back down if we don't have any more claims.
How many years
claim was it?
The claim prior to me being here at the beginning of
Workers' comp or what?
Yep, at the beginning of last year.
How long does it take for that to start going down? 3 years.
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the difference in the 98, that's 123.
Yeah.
And that's for 3 years.
Correct.
Okay, well then I will look for a motion to approve the EMC insurance
Just a minute, is
renewal.
that the projections on, it says the kids, number of high school students and number of, are those just projections for next year?
Where are you looking?
On the second column.
Page 2.
Where it says.
Oh, yeah, I was told by Mr. Leadholm that really doesn't impact a whole lot as far as, if we have changes in, FTE or changes in FTE for staff or for students, that really won't affect the premium. I mean, it would if you had a substantial change, but not what we would see.
So the 98 by 563 is what we paid last year too? You said?
Yeah, and the left column is what we paid for last year, and the right column is for next year's.
Okay. Any other questions? Then I will entertain a motion to approve the insurance renewal.
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Second. Been properly moved and seconded to approve EMC insurance renewal. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. We move on to the update of our OT-PT contracts.
I think you guys should have to stand up like that.
Yeah. I feel like we're going too slow.
It is amendable, it is debatable, and requires
Okay, so the contract for the OT PT services were last year you guys approved for a 3-year contract. They were less expensive, so we locked in for 3 years, which I think typically we've done a 1 year or an annual contract. So because they were lower, we locked in for 3 years through St. Croix Regional Medical Center. So it doesn't, this isn't a, there's no need for a motion to approve it. I just wanted to bring it to the board because I know you guys, we've typically in the past done a 1 year contract, but because it was lower than the current year, last year it was lower than the current year, we locked in for 3 years. So,
okay.
Just wanted to share that with you guys.
Okay, then we'll move on to our new business item C, discussion of an auditor.
Okay. So I wasn't able to email this to you guys, but I do have some handouts that I printed off from Baker Tilly that I reached out to those individuals. I've been extremely impressed with their services, doing the audit for us here in Clear Lake, and they've done it for a while. Kim gave me some kind of bulleted points, and I just reached out to her and said, can you just give me kind of your sales pitch? Obviously it's your business, but of why it's in the best interest to stay with the auditor. So she gave me some bulleted items, and then she also sent that electronic email from the Office of the Secretary, Public Company Accounting Oversight Board, as to why it's smart to keep the same auditor. Some pros to it. So I guess at this point, for not only myself, but Mrs. Karnick and Mrs. Nordby in our office, I think I recommend that we stay with Baker Tilly. I've been very impressed with how they operate, and just knowing the ins and outs of the district, it's made it. It was very smooth especially for me, my first year. And they sat down with me and went through things to look for, things to check, and then they've been working with us at fixing some things as well that you guys have been aware of. So right now my recommendation would be to stay with Baker Tilly as our auditor.
Okay. Well,
rather than bidding it out.
That being said, then, do you guys have any discussion?
How long have we had that current auditor?
Baker Tilly, do you know?
Probably 15, 20 years.
Mm-hmm. Since I was on the board. Yeah.
I think we should change. I think it's just get a new set in there. And we talked about this last year. We talked about it the year before, and we kind of talked about the fact that maybe we should change it. Let Josh do the first one, so with all the transition.
Okay. Does anybody else have any other debate?
I think we should keep keep Baker Tilly for the reasons that Josh stated. They have done a good job. There has been no indication of any issues. Our school district is in good fiscal shape compared to many around here, partially because of the relationship. I don't see any smoke, and I don't know why we would go and change and upset the apple cart just to change for change's sake.
Okay. Anybody else have any comments?
The parameter and scope isn't going to change. They're going to follow the standard accounting procedure, so that's not going to change with the new one. They did make the suggestion on her letter maybe to change the manager or the lead, basically, for the audit here, which would be a possibility. It would just give you a new set, fresh eyes. But a different audit firm isn't going to give you a new scope. that they're gonna look at. It's gonna stay the same. So maybe if our manager has been the same, maybe change that. So it's not gonna be a drastic change for you all. But if we stick with them, we really want it to change the overall person, might just give a different perspective, but it won't change much of what they do or the people knowing how to get what they need to get here.
Okay. Anyone else have any comments?
Well, we could get some bids, maybe we get less expensive amounts than what we're paying right now.
We did bid it out a few years ago, and both bids came in the same.
That was a few years ago.
Yep, we could do that, but that's...
Okay.
You know, you get pretty comfortable and you get pretty complacent with doing the same thing over and over again. Maybe it's good to shake it up a little bit and get a new perspective on things.
It would be the same thing. It would just be that Lori would have to teach people where all of our
That's
stuff
what they
is.
do for a living, and they're professionals, and that's what they do. So I'm sure they do audits all the time. So that's what.
Okay, before we go start it back and forth, does anybody else have anything else they'd like to add? Any new comments or information before we vote?
It just says discussion.
I don't think there's a vote. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm going to add my points to discussion. Changing the firm, rotating someone else in, as it explains in the handout that we've got in front of us, carries costly and sometimes unintended consequences. Some of which, by changing an auditor, them not being familiar, Lori, correct me if I'm wrong, but them not being familiar with the school district and how it runs, the chances of us having a poor quality audit are greater. Also, with somebody that doesn't know the school district as our current auditor knows, is going to increase costs for us and increase a lot of frustration for the people that are working for us.
I think time as well. I mean, I was very impressed coming in. They were an impressive firm. They met with us all individually. They came in, they had everything set up. I mean, they knew individuals and gave me information and said, on first name basis who I needed to get what to and get what signed. I know from my perspective, and I think from Moore's and Joey, I don't want to speak for those two, but I would strongly recommend that we stay with Baker Tilly, just due to how familiar they are with the district. I mean, it was very well run.
And another part is, thinking that if we got a different auditor in here would increase the chances of us not having a problem within our district. I don't think would hold any water, because these guys come in and their job is to perform an audit. And if they were to not be truthful and not do their job correctly, it would be suicide. It would be...
Why would they not do their job correctly? I mean, they're an auditing firm, that's what they do.
Right.
Why would they, it just, I don't understand that reasoning.
Well, what I'm saying is, if you don't trust the ones that we have now, there's reason to trust them, because there's not going to be... That's what an audit is, So does anybody have any other points they'd like to throw out?
Changing auditors does add a lot of time, and their statisticals that they take to see what they're checking is going to be the same per firm.
I guess the only thing I would add on top of any of that is, Baker Tilly is internationally known. It's not like they're a roadside auditor. I had another thought with that. I lost my track.
When it comes to you, Pete, go ahead and throw it out. Okay. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to add? So then I think at this point then, I think it would be wise to poll the board to see whether or not we want to put it on as an action item. So I'm going to poll the board.
Whether we want to vote on it next
No,
meeting?
whether we want to make it an action item for the next.
Yeah, whether or not we want to put it on another agenda.
Do we
as
need to do that, technically?
Don't need to, but it would be.
I think to put it to rest,
Then let's
it's
put it on.
wise.
Yes.
You want to put it on as a,
Yes.
And finish it then? Can we vote
No,
no
see,
then, next
If-
time?
If you vote no now, it won't even make it to that.
yeah, we won't have to talk about it again.
I think it needs to go on the agenda.
Mhm.
Yep,
Go
you
on
do.
record.
Yep.
Peter, what do you think?
No.
I say no.
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 Okay. So we'll put that to rest then for the year. All right, and then we'll move on to our new business D, approval of intern assistant girls track coach.
So the interim assistant, right now, Casey Paulson is taking a leave from coaching due to having a baby, and we look forward to having her back in the elementary building teaching. But she's taking a leave from coaching, and Jennifer Munson has been selected to replace her for this year's track season.
Okay, so then we're looking for approval. I'll entertain a motion.
I will have Miss Munson as the interim assistant girls track coach.
I'll second.
Wonderfully said. And seconded, it's been properly moved and seconded to approve Miss Munson as our interim assistant girls track coach. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Now we'll move on to our superintendent notes.
Okay. We've had quite an exciting last 2 weeks here. So, had FFA individuals said they'll be moving on. We also had some quite a few things in sports happening. So we had where are we? Wrestling sectionals. We had 5 individuals qualify for the for the WI State tournament, and all 5 went down to Madison. Did a really nice job this last week. We had Ryan Anderson, Corey Engelbritson, Nick Zempf, Gabe Colbeth, and Noah Wizorek, as they announced him down there, and Noah Wizorek. And they represented the school district very well. They came away with 2 on the podium, and hopefully we'll be bringing those 5 in to share with the board. But Noah was a runner-up in the finals and had a great tournament, and Corey Engelbritson ended up with a 3rd and had just a fantastic tournament as well. So both not only got on the podium, but were high on the podium. But more importantly, all 5 wrestlers really represented the district well, not only at state, but at sectionals and regionals and throughout the whole year. So 5 good kids that ended up qualifying for state, and it was fun to watch them wrestle down in Madison. We had the girls. We hosted the girls basketball regionals against Thorpe, and the girls won that one. Then we had a great problem in the district. We had the boys wrestling down in Madison on Thursday. We had the girls first round regional game in Flambeau. The boys basketball were playing for the conference championship. And then you threw potential snowstorm in the mix, so it was a recipe for disaster. But a great problem with all of our athletics really doing well. The boys basketball ended up getting the conference title. The girls, unfortunately, I believe they were winning at halftime. I was getting texts for that one. Ended up losing a close one to Flambeau, so they didn't move on. But they had a great season and some good girls. And then I said the 5 young men down at the Madison down in state. And today I was part of the FCCLA regional, which I'd never been a part of, so that was fun to be a part of. I got to do the interviewing process for. I believe it's the region. I think it's similar to the FFA, where it is some schools in our conference, but it's also surrounding areas as well. So very similar style to the FFA. Those kids that participate in those 2 programs just have a different level of confidence when they speak, and they come in and they're very very confident with not only how they present but how they talk to. They had presentation, one with food, which I was a little bit nervous about because I don't have a whole lot of background in that. But it was more about the presenting and the public speaking, and then the interview process. So hopefully we'll be bringing those kids in too, because I know we had some kids we have some kids in the district that'll be moving on. I'm just not sure exactly because it ended today. So hopefully they'll be a part of it. This week is kickoff to Read Across America Week. Tomorrow we host the boys basketball regional game. So we have potentially three games if we win. Tomorrow's Clayton, all potentially home games because we're a high seed. So looking forward to those games.
Tomorrow, Thursday, and then Saturday.
I'm sorry, tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday.
Yeah.
You can help me out, Coach Hughes. Friday would be the winner of
Gilman or
Cornell. Okay. And then tomorrow's Clayton. And then teacher conferences on Thursday night. So don't want to end on that exciting note. And then track practice beginning here in the near future, which not always do we have no snow on the ground, but the track season is going to be kicked off without any shoveling.
First practice, next snowstorm. Right?
So overall, some really, the FCCLA and then the FFA, but also the sports teams are doing extremely well. And it makes it easier to cheer for the team when you just have really good kids participating in the athletics, which we have.
Good. Okay. Then we'll move on to our future agenda items. Does anybody have anything that they want to talk about putting on the agenda at our next meeting? Okay. Then we'll move on to our contemplated closed session where I get to say thanks you guys for coming in. In accordance with WSS 19.85, paragraph 1C, considering employment compensation or performance data of any public employer over which the government body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. We will be discussing employment compensation or performance of an employee. I will poll the board.
Yes.
Nettie?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Peter?
Yes.
David?
Yep.
We are in closed session. We are in open session. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. We are adjourned.